Okay, you're blocking us. Post.
Gene,
how do you feel? How are you feeling, Gene? Just tell us in your own words.
we're feeling good. We feel that the jury gave a correct verdict and a just verdict.
How do you feel, Mr. Gotti?
Easy.
Where'd he go? Let's get back in there. Come on.
Mr. Rampino.
How do you feel?
Were you surprised?
Bend it down, please.
John Gleason did a wonderful job. I think that we did a fine job of prosecuting the case, and that's the end of this case.
Do you still intend to prosecute Gambino crime family members?
Thank you.
This office intends to prosecute every organized crime target that we have evidence on. And I want to emphasize how proud I am and this office is of the job that Diane did and John.
Ms. Giacalone, could we at least, beyond the legalism here, you've given a lot of your time and your life to this case. You must be disappointed today.
My personal feelings are really far less important than the fact that the case was decided by a jury.
And what are your personal...
Based on the evidence.
What are your personal...
My personal feelings are mine.
The charge was made, the defense several times that this was an overzealous prosecution.
We're not going to entertain any other questions. I think we've made our statement about the case, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Maloney, what about the trial within a trial? Was that an unfair burden for the
No, gentlemen, I think we've made our position known here. The jury has spoken. We'll move on to the next case.
Mr. Maloney,
Equal vigor.
the defense lawyers made war on Ms. Giacalone and Mr. Gleason. Do you think that affected their determination?
I have no idea what went on within the jury room and how they've perceived it. Obviously, they perceived that there was something wrong with our evidence. The case was harshly and hardly fought by both sides, and the jury has spoken. That's the end of the case. Thank you very much.
Do you think you'll ever take John Gotti to court again?
I'll have no comment what's going to happen to John Gotti next. Thank you.
Given an indictment in the Gambino crime family by the strike force, is that there's a John Doe in that case? Is that on or
no comment? Okay. Thank you.
If you'd like to make a call. Wait a minute, who's in this? Hold on.
Something's incorrect.
All right, Tom.
Where's O'Brien? Diane. Are you going to... We have a statement. You can...
No, I don't want a statement, please. I need a picture, please, okay?
But I just a second, please.
Okay. You stated. Please, talk to me.
Diane, they were saying throughout this case, several times in court, your prosecution was a personal vendetta on your part against John Gotti and company. Anything to say about that now that the verdict is in?
No.
Thank you.
Tony, I can't see nothing. Tony, unblock it.
Murphy, where are you?
Where is he?
It's just the lawyers.
Oh, you don't want him? Kissing you. Close. All right, let's come. All right, let's come through, guys. Hey, still get down, Mr. Slotnick. Mr.
God bless America.
Feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling terrific. True justice was done in this courthouse today.
What do you think made the jury decide to exonerate these men?
Because they were not guilty to begin with. They studied the evidence. They gave the government every doubt. They reviewed it, and they came to the final truth: justice. John Gotti and 6 other co-defendants were not guilty. They should never have been brought to this courtroom to begin with in the first place.
What did Mr. Gotti say to you after the verdict came in?
He was very confident, and he looked at me and he said, "You look more nervous than I do."
And when Mr. Gene Gotti hugged you, what was the conversation?
The conversation was, again, very simply, this was the right verdict. We never doubted it.
Barry,
what
this
for
morning
these
this morning the jurors asked for the list that the defense lawyers prepared of the witnesses, the prosecution witnesses. What do you think they were looking at?
I think they were looking at all of the horrors that the individual witnesses had committed and now had gotten a free walk.
And they want people to have fair trials. That's what the country is based on, and that's what it should have.
What did Mr. Gotti say to you?
Good job.
What do you think the problem was in the prosecution's case? What exactly didn't they do?
They didn't have evidence, and that's what they didn't have.
That's the
and
most
they tried to
important.
bring a case without evidence. It's about time somebody said you can't do it.
Federal charges are in the offing, whether
Richard
from this
Rayburn.
jurisdiction or Southern District. Are you aware of that? Are you?
Well, I don't expect that they'll leave them alone, but if there are charges, we'll fight those as well. But right now, there's nothing.
And you think today was what? The jury just not believing the witnesses that testified against?
Absolutely, and rejecting, regurgitating the kind of thing that they've seen over and over again. Paid witnesses, witnesses who've lied in the past, witnesses who've gotten new identities, witnesses who've sold drugs, witnesses who've killed people. They've had it, and I think this may be a swing in the right direction. I'm very pleased about that.
What happens to
Mr.
Mr.
Gotti?
Gotti now? What'll happen to him immediately?
He's going to go home
It's going to go
with
on.
his wife and children.
What's his reaction, Bruce?
He's
Obviously,
pleased.
he's happy.
He's
but
very
what do
happy, and he feels that the vindication was proper, and we both expected it, and we're very pleased we got it.
Will he talk to us, do you think? He
I
said
don't
he
know.
would if he was
I
free
don't
to.
know, but you got to.
The government has used witnesses like this before in fake cases. We get convictions and we get heavy sentences. What happened here in Brooklyn?
I think that somehow, some way, they were persuaded to understand that it just is not right. And when the prosecutor kept saying, "Is it fair? Is it fair?" they said, "This prosecution is not fair." And I think they finally got the message, and they finally said, "We've had it. It's not right what you're doing, singling people out and going after them, harassing them, using witnesses who lie, who say anything for money and a new identity." And I think people have just said it. Enough.
Bruce, you don't think it had anything to do with possible fear of who this man is, of the Godfather?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. No question about that. No. Zero.
You never did say
Because
what
if you saw the jury when they came in, they were relieved and they were happy. And it's not an easy thing. It's not easy to say no to a federal prosecutor. It's not easy to stand in a courtroom where there's a flag and an eagle and say not guilty. It's not easy. But they felt they were doing the right thing. I asked them to feel that way, and it seemed like they felt that way.
What are the procedures Mr. Gotti has to go through to get out? Does he have to go down through the marshals and stuff?
Yeah, that's it.
What do they have to
They
do?
just sign him out. And
Can you get a picture later at 5 o'clock?
I'm sorry?
Can you come on live at 5?
I don't know. I'll try.
Do you expect him
In the office, 964-3200.
Bruce, do you expect him to be charged in that Gambino case next door?
I don't know, Pete. I expect that the government will want to charge him everywhere they can, but I don't know. I don't know.
Why do they have to?
It just seems to be what they've been doing at this point.
Bruce.
Where does your client and the other defendants go now?
Home to see their wives and their families and their children, to rest and relax. We started this on August 18th, and I'm going home.
Barry,
What was it like up there after the verdict was finished? Everybody sort of sat there frozen for a second. And what was racing through your minds, and then what happened? Describe the
Well,
scene.
it was utter pandemonium. There was absolute total joy through the courthouse. There was total joy in the courtroom. There were tears in the eyes of the family that sat in the courtroom, and I was basically very numb.
Whose family?
Barry, could you just describe?
Individuals who were on trial had their families in the courtroom.
Barry, could you just describe very briefly your assessment of the prosecution case?
I felt that the prosecution case was made up of nothing but innuendos and hate. And that's not what juries look at today.